Welcome back everyone. A quick recap before we get into it. In the last part we had Rasen go through a body transformation, his mother almost being cured from the azure dots, and meeting Rudia, convincing her that he could help her cure her family, but accidentally taking the wrong step at the end. We return back to Rudia furious because Rasen knew her name before she even told him, pressing him on how he knew her name. Rasen, thinking that he made a mistake, asks if it's really weird that he knows her name, and Rudia, putting two and two together, decides that Rasen knowing her name and offering her the 10-year herb for free is very odd. But when pressed to tell him why telling her the secret of the Maiden clan and potentially being a benefactor to her is weird, being the simple-minded person she is, she can't put a button on why it's weird. Rasen takes this moment of hesitation to twist the narrative as him not being weird, but her showing malice to her potential benefactor. Rasen then asks her if the favor he was doing her wasn't good enough, and to this Rudia apologizes, but Rasen, teasing her, gets a full apology and deems that 3 apologies should be enough. Rasen then tells her that he'll accept her apology, but she'll have to stay there for the time being because of what she did. Clueless of what she actually did, he spells it out for her, saying that she infiltrated the Maiden clan and attacked the gatekeepers. When he asked what the gatekeepers said to her to infuriate her, she told Rasen everything. She said that the gatekeepers told her that this isn't a place where someone as lowly as herself could go into. They laughed at her dying father and said that she should just let him die. Seeing the crying Rudia, Rasen decides to free her, and she asks him who he is and why he's treating her this kindly. Telling her his name, she pauses for a moment. Rasen Maiden! Oh, the worst bastard! Rasen can't help but feel triggered. The worst bastard? Rudia said, yeah! They say you're an absolute trash. But you're not trash, you're a kind person. Suddenly, another variable happens. But he thinks for a moment. He thinks if it's really a good idea to ally the person to be known as the Crimson Slaughterer, but decides to go through with it for the time being. Later that night, Hampton knocks on Rasen's door back at the Maple Annex. Walking through, he tells Rasen that he had collected the 10-year herb that was requested from him, and would be off to Hairan, which would take Hampton about 3 days to get there. Kneeling before Rasen, Hampton asks why he's helping Rudia. Rasen then tells him that it would be a shame for someone to die of a disease when it's curable. It's their own father, and helping them isn't a big deal for him. Hampton then thanks Rasen for teaching him, and he fills in the blanks himself, deciding that Rasen meant that being a famed clan member doesn't mean he should ignore the hardships of the weak. Hampton has found his light, but in reality, Rasen just wanted the fire chalice, but he decides to keep this for himself. 2 days later, he gets a visit from his beloved sister again, asking to take a look at the fun toy he's picked up. At first, Persia doesn't recognize Rasen, wondering who he is as there's never been someone as handsome as he is in the Maiden clan. But after realizing that it was Rasen, she tells him that he's very interesting and that it feels like he's hiding a lot of things from her. Responding to her saying that he's not hiding anything in particular, besides that he's the creator of this world obviously, he can't help but look away, but Persia closes the distance between the two, intimidating Rasen. Just by making contact, his magic combat ability activates, and she tells him that she'll give him lots of love if he continues his growth like this. Laying into Persia's legs, he brushes her hand aside and tells her that he doesn't need help, and he wants to become her helper and has no intention of being pampered. Being like this only makes her like him even more, and she comments that his head would be an excellent artwork if it was on a spike. This comment takes Rasen by surprise. Asking her not to make terrible jokes like that, she tells him, what makes you think that was a joke? Anyways, I want to take a look at the toy you brought. But Rasen stands his ground, saying that the toy is his, and he's not obligated to show her his toy even if she asks, and that he has no intention of showing her. But Rasen is worried, as Persia is a magician with unmatched talent for fire, but Rudia is a firekin and has equal talent to Persia. Persia sends out a killing aura, asking if he dares to challenge her. Her presence is crushing. This causes his abilities to fire off, trying to defend himself from all the pressure. But suddenly, Persia decides to give him a chance, using the combat magic that he learned, versus one that she learned on the way to visit him. She asks if he can outpower hers, he wins. Confident in his abilities, he accepts the challenge. Persia then sends out a snake towards Rasen, who promptly crushes it. Persia thinks that he's definitely grown since their last encounter, and tells him that if he wins, she won't bother his toy any longer, but if she wins and doesn't find the toy interesting, she'll crush it. Facing off each other, Rasen makes the first move, propelling himself towards Persia. He attempts to land a blow, but is quickly intercepted. Rasen manages to intercept the blow and guard against this, but is pushed back. Persia noticed immediately that it wasn't that he was unable to dodge her simple attack, but he took it in order to attack himself, and he had learned a few defensive magic combat skills. This blow from Persia's finger was strong enough to prevent him from counterattacking and make him feel nauseous due to mana concussion. Luckily, his ability, resolute willpower, and easy mana cultivation helps him control his mana, and he calms down his mana concussion. Charging in for a second time, he activates his weight utilization. Targeting her right leg, he makes contact. He manages to sweep her off her feet and pin her down. Applying the weight utilization to his fist, Rasen swings down, but something's wrong. Persia, using defensive magic, had not only stopped Rasen's blow, but had crushed all the bones in his fingers. Smirking at Rasen, asking him if he had rushed at her expecting to catch her off guard. Although an underhanded tactic that lacked elegance, Rasen claims that she had just lost to him as he had knocked her down. Suddenly, using magic, he lifts Rasen off the ground and sends him flying across the room, claiming that he had won the bet and that she'll take his eyes off his toy, but is interested in him more than ever. It was just as Sando had said, Rasen is very sturdy. Although just an attack using one finger, it should have had a fair amount of destructive power, yet he just took it with his body. She was curious about how sturdy he was, but he's still pretty weak, and she decides to leave him at that. Walking away, what she found interesting was how he had absorbed her mana. There are magicians that specialize in absorption, but this felt different. That's why she overdid it. But since she had crammed some healing mana, she thinks that he may be able to attain something from it. Sando then comments that she had given him another gift, and Persia confirms, but once again, his body will break if he can't control it properly. Back in the room, Rasen is struggling from the blow, but he met a special requirement. Magic combat technique self-regeneration has been activated. Another special event. This occurs every time he meets Persia. Activating his mana, his new ability, self-regeneration, heals his body, consuming a large amount of mana, but completely healing him in the process. In addition, he meets a special condition because of self-regeneration and easy mana cultivation resonating with each other. The conditions for body reconstitution have been met, initiating the body's reconstitution. Suddenly his body goes into shock and starts throbbing, putting him through extreme pain. It feels like he's losing consciousness and his entire body is being crushed into powder. Starting to ooze back liquid, his bones start to crack. His self-regeneration is automatically applied due to the desperate situation, as more resolute willpower and easy mana cultivation is aiding him in his recovery, but this only makes it feel as if his bones are being crushed, then regenerated over and over. Running into the room is Hera and Rudia. Initially, Hera thinks that the black mist is poison, but she wonders if this was actually the body's waste created in mist form. Meanwhile, a large amount of mana is required for body reconstitution. His mana is being sucked dry. He gets a notification saying that he's running out of mana, and another saying that if he doesn't have enough mana, his body reconstitution will be interrupted. If this shortage continues, and if interrupted, it will result in huge side effects, but suddenly he notices fire. Rudia isn't sure of what's going on, but is insistent of helping. Thankfully, the ability she used is Crimson Flame, a power Rudia has related to purification, and so he decides to absorb this pure clean mana from her. Hera and Rudia are concerned, but like a phoenix born out of the flame, he emerges looking stronger than ever, receiving updates that his body reconstitution is complete and a portion of the storyline related to incomplete plausibility has progressed. He also receives a notification saying that the fundamental attribute, Heavenly Constitution, hidden deeply inside of the body has been activated, and that he's met the basic requirements for combat magic advancement. Heavenly Constitution. That's the best body constitution attribute which the main character gets, which is supposed to be combined with his sword god to create Heavenly Emperor, the ultimate attribute. Rasen is receiving all the main character's attributes. Telling Hera to fetch some clothing, he understands that he has to hide this. A few weeks later, Rudia receives a letter from her father saying that he's recovered from the disease. In the letter, it was included that all of the villagers are feeling better because of the mysterious medicine, and that the pandemic was disappearing thanks to the seventh. Rudia is relieved, and she decides that she definitely will repay this favor, as Rasen is now officially her benefactor. And so, to repay the debt immediately, she offers Rasen to become his pact maker and become his pact maker of fire. Thank you all for stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next part.